difference can be written first. Let's do sine. And this is not distributive property. Distributive property doesn't work with angles. The only way to find the sum of x plus y is to use this formula. The sum of the sine of the first one, cosine of the second one, plus the sine of the second one, cosine of the first one. So x being first, y being second. Sine of the first one times cosine of the second one, plus sine of the second one, cosine of the first one. Now I'm going to do the sine of x minus y. Is the exact same thing. The only difference is it's subtraction. So it's a repeat of what I just wrote there. So it'd be sine of the first, cosine of the second, minus sine of the second, cosine of the first. Cosine of two angles added together is cosine of the first one, cosine of the second one, minus sine of the first one, sine of the second one. And again, it's cosine of the first one times cosine of the second one. Then notice this sign, what's different? Subtract sine of the first, sine of the second. And then cosine of x minus y, what do you think it's going to be? The opposite sign. So it'd be cosine of the first, cosine of the second, plus sine of the first, sine of the second. Now tangent of two angles added is the tangent of the first one plus tangent of the second one over 1 minus the tangent of the first one times the tangent of the second one. Okay? So right there. But can you think about that? Is there another way to come up with tangent? One of those eight. Right. So couldn't I really say it's this over this?
Yeah.
What over what?
That one over that one.
Just keep this in mind. I could say that tangent is sine, oops, forgot my plus y, is sine of the first one. You don't need to write this part down, I'm just giving you a freebie. You guys agree that is the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if that works. If I were to derive this, and if I end up with what the formula is. Does everybody follow what I'm saying? What's the formula for sine of x plus y? I might need more room, so I might start up high. But like I said, don't write this down.
Sine of x times cosine of y plus sine of y times cosine of x
Over
cosine of x times the cosine of y minus sine of x times the sine of y.
Now, what could I do if I wanted to come up with the tangent formula? What could I do to make this become that? Well, I noticed I want a 1 here, right? So could I divide by cosine x, cosine y?
Yeah.
If I divide everything by that, let's see what happens. And isn't this what you guys have been doing when you verify and
Yeah.
make something look like another one? And isn't it legal as long as I divide everything by the same thing?
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot of writing, but did you guys follow what I did?
Yeah.
I divided each term by cosine of x, cosine of y. Now, what happens here? Doesn't the cosine of y cancels? And what do I have?
Tangent.
Tangent of x. What happens on this one?
Cosines cancel.
The cosine of x cancels, and I've got sine of y over cosine of y, which is
Tangent.
tangent of y. See, it's a different angle. Now, what do we know this is? 1. And over here,
1. No, it's not.
nope. Sine of x over cosine of x is tangent of x. Sine of y over cosine of y is
Tangent of y.
tangent of y. And it did work out. So does everybody see that you could just use these two formulas and divide it? Which when we do the worksheet tomorrow we're going to be doing a worksheet just so you get extra practice of sum of difference. That's probably what I'd do instead of using this formula. Okay, and then there's one last one. what do you think the tangent of x minus y is gonna be?
Opposite sides.
Opposite sides. So it'd be the tangent of the first one minus tangent of the second one over 1 plus the tangent of the first one times tangent of the second one. So you have your formulas there in front of you, and you're gonna make use of those. Now, I'm gonna give you an example problem, where this is for 26 through 30, and this is even, by the way. I didn't know if you understood that there. I better make sure they know this is even too. So you have these written down, because you're gonna be making use of them. So this is for the first section. You're going to be given 2 trig values, and you're going to be asked to find a sum or a difference. Now, in order to do that, number 1, you're going to set up 2 triangles. Now, to set up 2 triangles, remember you learned something already, right? The sine is opposite over hypotenuse. You guys remember that? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent, which there's acronyms that you can use to help remember that. I always use a different one than everybody else do. My grandfather's name was Oscar. So I say Oscar had a handful of apples, is the way to remember it. Once you get this set up, then you have to use Pythagorean's theorem to complete the triangle. And then, number 2, you're going to substitute the information into the formula. So that's basically what our steps are going to be for 26 through 30. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say that I give you that the sine of x, and these are all first quadrant. The sine of x is going to be 3/5. The cosine of y is going to be 4/5. And I'm going to do something different with the book. The book only has you find 1, but I'm going to have you find 3 of them. I'm going to say find the sine. Now, you're still going to follow the book's direction. We're just doing this for practice.
Okay.
So in my example, I want you to find the sine of x plus y. I want you to find the cosine of x plus y. And I want you to find the tangent of x plus y. Normally, in your book assignment, it's going to say find one of these. Okay, did everybody see what I'm saying? We're just doing multiple so that we get to practice it. So this is the example for this. Okay, so what is it that it tells us that we have to do?
Set up the 2 triangles.
Set up 2 triangles. So the first triangle is going to be my x triangle. What's sine by definition? Opposite over hypotenuse. So what's this other side have to be? 4. Everybody 4? I didn't have to use Pythagoreans on that because from geometry, didn't you learn your 3, 4, 5 triangle? Okay. And this is all of the ones you're doing in first quadrant. So you don't have to worry about the SIGNs, the signs. They're all going to be positive. Okay? Now, what's my y triangle going to set up to be? Cosine of y is 4/5. So what's cosine by definition? Adjacent over hypotenuse. That means this has to be 3. So is it the same triangle? Yeah, which that's not going to be normally the case. But in this one it is. Okay, now, I want, what's the formula for sine of x plus y? This is where you get to write down the formula because I do want to see it. And then you're going to sub your information in. So what's the formula for sine of x plus y? Sine of the first, cosine of the second.
Plus sine of the second, cosine of the first.
Now you look at your triangles to get the answer. What's the sine of x? It was 3/5, right? Okay. What's the cosine of y? 4/5.
1/5.
You're multiplying,
Uh,
okay? Then what's the sine of y? 3/5. And what's the cosine of x? 4/5. So when I multiply, I get 12/25 plus 12/25.
So 24/25.
That's your answer. And you're really only doing the one thing. Let's go ahead and do tangent, just to practice the tangent. And then I'm gonna make a completely different, another triangle. What's the formula for tangent of x plus y? We're gonna leave this one out, since I wanna do another example. Tangent of the first plus tangent of the second over 1 minus tangent of the first times tangent of the second one. So, same triangles, because I still have x and y involved. What's the tangent of x?
sorry.
That's okay. Everybody think about what the tangent of x is. What's the definition of tangent? Opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite over adjacent. So what is it for here? 3/4. So that's what this one is. What's the tangent of y? Also 3/4.
I thought it was minus. Oh wait, never mind.
The bottom's minus on this one. 1 minus, and we know the tangent of x is 3/4 because we just did it. We knew the tangent of y is 3/4 because we just did it. So we get 6/4, don't worry about simplifying yet, because we still have to do something. Over 1 minus, you multiply these two, what do you get when you multiply them?
9/16.
So what's 1 minus 9/16?
7/8.
And what's this mean?
Complex fraction.
Which means,
Multiply.
Divide. so 6/4 times 16/7. And I get 24/7 for an answer. Okay, now I want to give you a totally different triangle. So this is still for this section 26 to 30. Only this time I'm going to use A's and B's. Sine of A is going to equal a -5, well, we're only doing the first quadrant, so forget the negative, 5/13. And the cosine of B is going to equal 3/5.
So 5/13.
So the first thing you do is you draw your triangle. So what's the triangle A going to consist of? What's the definition of sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. So then Pythagorean's theorem would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a equals 12. Okay, the second triangle is the B triangle. What's cosine by definition?
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
So 3, 5, so we know this one's 4 because of 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, so we're good so far. Now, let's say after we've done that, I ask you to find the cosine of x plus y. Well, not x plus y, sorry, what am I using? A plus b's. And it doesn't matter whether it's x and y's, a's and b's, or alphas and betas, it still means the same thing. So what's the formula for cosine of a plus b? Cosine of the first, cosine of the
Second.
second, minus sine of the
First.
sine of the
Second.
second. Now we gotta pull that information from our triangle. What's the cosine of A?
12 over 13.
What's the cosine of B?
3 over
What's the sine of A? Sine, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse.
5. 5 over 13.
And what's the sine of B? Again, opposite over hypotenuse.
4 over 5.
So multiplying, I'm gonna get 36 over 65 minus 20 over 65. So I get 16 over 65 for a final answer. I'm gonna make up another one using the same pair of triangles. You don't need to write this one down, this is just more practice. What if this time I say I wanna find the sine of A minus B? So it would be the formula for sine of A minus B. Sine of the first
Cosine of the second plus
Minus.
sine of
minus.
Sine of the second,
Second,
cosine of the first.
So now we go to our triangle, what's the sine of A? 5/13, because it's opposite over hypotenuse. What's the cosine of B? 3/5, adjacent over hypotenuse. What's the sine of B? Sine of B,
that's A.
4/5, thank you, and we want cosine of A, 12/13. So I get 15 over 65 minus 48 over 65. So what am I gonna get? Negative 33 over 65?
Yeah.
I'm gonna subtract?
Yeah.
Everybody follow that one through? Okay, another example?
No.
Now, okay.
You guys understand, set up the triangle and then use the formula they have.
Yeah.
Okay, that's that first group. 32 through 42 is doing the same thing you've been doing, what is that?
Simplifying.
Not simplified, what did we just get?
Verify.
Verify. And what does it mean when you verify?
Make one side look just like the other.
Make one side look like the other, which means you can't work. You pick one side, you can't work with both sides. You just pick one side and you have to make it look like the other side, right? Okay, so let's say that I have cosine, and these are gonna be fairly quick, of 180 plus x equals a negative cosine of x. So you're gonna make use of your formulas, which this was on page 442. Might be good for me to look at there. Okay, so which side do you think you wanna pick?
Left side,
Left side.
Left side. Why? That's the side with the,
no stuff in it.
and it has the formula on it, doesn't it? Okay, so what's the formula for cosine of A plus B or x plus y?
Cosine of the first times cosine of the second. Minus, wait,
Yep.
minus sine of the first, sine of the second.
What formulas
Oh,
were on the?
I forgot my S.
Verification.
Okay, are we good there? Cosine of the first, cosine of the second, minus sine of the first, sine of the second. Now, turn to the flip side of your information sheet. You should have a table on, right?
Yeah.
What's the cosine of 180?
Negative 1.
Don't know the cosine of x, so I'm leaving it alone. What's the sine of 180?
0.
What's 0 times anything?
0.
What's a negative 1 times cosine?
Negative cosine.
That is correct.
That was easy.
Most of these,
How
if
did
you'll
we-
look,
The second line, how did we get that?
okay, you looked on your chart, what's the
Right.
cosine of 180?
No, like, how did we get that written out
This
like
one?
that? Yeah.
Use your formula.
Right.
It's the cosine of A plus B. So
Mhm.
it's cosine of the first one, cosine of the second one,
Yeah.
minus sine of the first one, sine of the second one.
What?
Oh, okay.
You're just using your formula,
Alright,
okay?
sure, yeah, that.
Okay, got that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to open to that book, because we're gonna do, the even ones are the ones I was leaving you to do, but I wanna do
Because the cosine of 180 is negative 1 up here.
number 39. We'll look at 39, which I think is somewhat similar to your 40. Is everybody with me there? We're gonna use number 39 as an example. So somebody read what it says to me.
39.
Yes, sir.
The sine of A plus B is equal to tan A plus tan B over secant of A times secant of B
Over secant of A,
times secant B.
secant B. Which side do you think you wanna work with?
Neither.
Neither of them? Well, now it becomes a little bit more thinking as to which one to use. Here you just have a formula, and you know what the formula is, you can look at what it is, right? Does that match that?
No.
No, but you'd have to manipulate with it in order to make it look like that. So what else? You might wanna look at this side?
Sure.
You guys tell me. Yes? No?
Yeah.
So this is multiplication only, right?
Yes.
So what's tangent changed to?
Sine over cosine.
Wait, that was addition.
Is there addition there?
Yeah, it's an addition of
On
a
the top one,
tangent.
yeah, there was addition.
Oh, sorry. That makes it different. But we can do it. Plus
Sine over cosine.
sine of b over cosine of b. And we gotta be careful and make sure we put our a's and b's, because it'll be different. Okay, over, what's the bottom?
1 over cosine of A, and so 1 over cosine of B.
Oh. So what would we do on top?
Butterfly.
So what will that give me?
Sine of A times cosine of B plus,
Sine of a times cosine of b?
yes, plus cosine of A times the sine of B, all over cosine of AB.
And this you're gonna invert, right? So I just divided by that, which I inverted and multiplied. Now what happens? Doesn't this cancel? This cancels? And what do I have? Look on your formula.
Yeah, that is
That-
sine of A.
It's sine of the first, cosine of the second, sine of the second, cosine of the first, just in a different order, but isn't it the same thing?
Yeah,
So isn't this the sine of A plus B?
yeah. But why would the cosine, if there's cosines in there,
Look at your formula for sine of A plus B, there is cosines in there, okay?
I don't know.
So do you see where this one was one where we didn't work with the side with the formula, we worked with the other side? So sometimes you're gonna work with the formula side, and other times you're gonna work with the other side. Okay? Do you wanna pick out another one of those to do?
Can we
Susan?
just do the other side?
That would be harder to do.
Can we try it?
We can try it. What's the formula for that side? You wouldn't wanna write this down. Sine of the first,
Times sine of the second,
and then times cosine of the second?
yeah, sorry. Plus sine of the second times cosine of the first.
Cosine of the first. Well, all I see right there is I want tangent somehow. Does everybody agree? So how can I get a tangent? Divide by
Cosine?
a cosine. So if I divide by cosine of A and cosine of B,
Yeah. Of both the cosine A and cosine B?
let's see. Because we need a tangent A and a tangent B, don't we?
Right.
Okay, then what happens there? Which that really is essentially,
So then cosine B cancels out,
no butterfly, just look and see what happens.
cosine B cancels out on the first one.
So that gives me
And
tangent.
of A.
Well,
The cosine A on the second one cancels out.
Over.
but we wanted over that, which, what did we do here? We divided, so what do you have to do to make it balance since you're messing with the other? You divided, so you have to multiply by cosine of A, cosine of B, right?
Wait, what?
In order to make it balanced, you divided, you gotta multiply, because you're staying on one side.
Right.
Okay, so what can I do here? Can I make that secant? Isn't that 1 over secant of A and 1 over secant of B? Then it's tangent of A plus tangent of B over secant of A, secant of B.
I'm still confused on, you said we had to, we divided.
You divided, but in order to keep it balanced, don't you have to multiply?
Right.
Because you're doing it to the same side, because that means you're really multiplying. Look, if I write it up here, forget this part right here. If I put up here cosine of A, cosine of B,
Right.
that cancels, that means I'm multiplying by 1. I'm not changing the value of my problem, I'm just manipulating it. That's why you gotta do, if you divide, you gotta multiply. So it makes it balance out, because you aren't working with both sides of the equations, because in verify, you only work with one side to make it look like the other side. You guys follow what I'm saying there? Okay? But again, probably which was the best side to work with? Right, so sometimes you don't always wanna work with the side with the formula on it. You wanna work on the other side. Okay, do you want me to give you another example? Nope. Okay, get the camera. And let's, again, give you a recap. We'll get everybody started off on the right place.